Jeff, and I want to talk to you about how to make weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament. So, first things first, I am not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist or nutritionologist, as I like to say. I'm not a health expert or dietitian in any way. So before you make any changes to your diet, go talk to one of them, okay? But that being said, I have been doing jiu-jitsu since the early 90s, just after the first UFC. And I have fought in a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments, and I have always made weight. I wasn't so good at it when I was a white belt and a blue belt, but I've gotten better and better at it since then. And I want to share with you a few of the things that I have learned to make losing weight and making weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament easy. So, first things first, there are a few factors to consider, okay? Each sport is different. Jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts, they're all different. And making weight for each of those is also different because there are different factors to consider. One factor to consider for jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, is when you weigh in for your match, you are usually wearing your kimono. With grappling industries, you don't have to wear your kimono, but with the rest of them, I think you do. IBJJF, I know you do, and all the tournaments that follow IBJJF rules, you have to. So you weigh in wearing your kimono. So if you have to be, 200 pounds and your kimono is 4 pounds, you can only be 196 pounds, right? So know what kimono you're going to wear and know how much it weighs and know how much you weigh when you're wearing it. That's different than wrestling. Obviously, there's no kimono in wrestling. And it's also different than judo. In judo, when you weigh in, I did judo years ago, you're not wearing your kimono, which is why in judo, the kimono can be much thicker because you don't have to be, as far as I know, you don't have to care how much it weighs. But in jiu-jitsu, you do need to care how much it weighs because you weigh in wearing it. And that's my belt tying motion, by the way. The second thing to consider that's very important is in jiu-jitsu, you fight, I don't want to say immediately after you weigh in, but like only a few minutes after you weigh in, right? You step on the scale, you weigh in, and if you make weight, you're probably fighting 10 or maybe 15 minutes later at the latest, right? Because of this, you do not have time to rehydrate, right? So that means you cannot dehydrate, if you follow me, right? In mixed martial arts and possibly in wrestling, I don't know, you weigh in the day before your fight. So you have 24 hours to rehydrate. And so you see mixed martial arts fighters and wrestlers, I assume, and maybe boxers, who cut water weight. They dehydrate themselves and weigh in much lower than they naturally weigh. And then between the time they weigh in and the time of the fight, they have time to rehydrate and drink, there's a drink called Pedialyte that's actually for dehydrated children, or babies or whatever. I can recall I've attended many mixed martial arts events with mixed martial arts fighters, friends of mine, and Pedialyte was the drink of choice for them. But in jiu-jitsu tournaments, you can't do that because if you dehydrate a lot and then you weigh in, now you're fighting 10, 15 minutes later, you do not have time to rehydrate. And so you're going to be stepping on the mat, with all that Pedialyte or Gatorade or what have you, Powerade or whatever, still in your belly. That is not a good idea. So bear those two things in mind. You have to weigh in wearing your kimono, and you do not have time to rehydrate. So, that being said, how should you make weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament? Okay? Now, first of all, maybe you're already on weight, okay? If you're working out, if you're doing jiu-jitsu every day or, 5 or 6 days a week and you have a clean diet, you're probably already at the correct weight. But, maybe you're heavier than you want to be and you have your eye on a certain weight category that you want to fight in, so be it. How do you do that? It's all about cutting calories, okay? What is a calorie? A calorie is a unit of food energy, okay? Everything you eat has calories in it, except for like ice cubes. Water doesn't have calories in it, and ice cubes don't. Everything you eat has calories in it, and all activities you do, even being alive, burns calories, okay? And if you eat more calories, or if you intake more calories than you're burning, you will gain weight. And if you burn more calories than you're taking in, you will lose weight. So, how many calories do you generally burn in a day? Generally, it's about 15 calories per pound, right? I'm about 200 pounds right now, so I burn about 3,000 calories a day. And I won't go into how much calories are in an apple, how much calories are in a sandwich. You can look it up, right? And similarly, you can look up various exercises and how many calories they burn. But I promise you, jiu-jitsu burns a lot of calories because you're not just laying there, right? You're active and you're using your large muscle groups, your legs and your abs and all that stuff. So even though people compare jiu-jitsu to playing chess, let me assure you, you burn more calories doing jiu-jitsu than you do playing chess, which explains why there aren't a lot of ripped chess players. Or maybe there are, I don't know. So what am I saying? How do you lose weight? So, to lose 1 pound, you have to have a deficit of 3,500 calories, okay? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there are 7 days in a week, right? That means if you lose, or if you have a deficit of 500 calories per day, okay, that in 1 week, there will be a deficit of 3,500 calories, and that means you will lose 1 pound a week. Now, could you try and lose 2 pounds a week or 3 pounds a week? Sure, but then your body might think, hey, I'm pretty sure we're starving. I'm going to try and retain all the calories you take in, because I'm pretty sure we're, in a boat at sea or stuck on a desert island or something. You know what I mean? And then, if you do that again and again, you're programming your body to retain calories and turn them into fat. And then, after the tournament, you start taking in ice cream and stuff. And then that's how people get obese, in my opinion. And bear in mind again, I'm not a nutritionist, so this is all based on my own personal experience. So, getting back on point, what would I do? So years ago when I competed, right, I walked around at about 205 pounds, more or less. And sometimes I would see a tournament down the road and I think, you know what? I want to fight at the, 193 pounds, right? So that means, follow my math, from 205 pounds wearing, clothes or kimono to 193 pounds wearing my clothes or kimono, I have to lose 12 pounds. So I would begin to diet 12 weeks before the tournament, right? And I would make sure that every day I have a deficit of 500 calories. So in a week, I have a deficit of 3,500 calories. So over the 12 weeks, I lose 12 pounds, and then I'm on point. And that's something I figured out, over the years. I wasn't so good at it when I was a white belt and a blue belt. I was still cutting water weight and stuff. But then as a purple and a brown and a black, I started realizing, okay, this is how you do it. And when I was fighting as a black belt, I was always making weight and feeling very, very energized. So that's how you should cut weight and make weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament. But there's other things to consider. Okay, so like I said some time ago, I trained with quite a few mixed martial arts fighters, and from them I learned not just good jiu-jitsu, but also proper diet, okay? Because earlier we were talking about calories and how to make weight by having a caloric deficit and whatnot. But on top of that, it's not just with the numbers, it's about the diet. Okay, and again, I remind you, I'm not a dietitian or dietologist or whatever. This is just what I learned over the years about how to make weight. So, like I said, or maybe I didn't say it yet, but you have 3 meals a day, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Okay, and as you can see by the shape of my hands, your breakfast should be your biggest meal. Lunch should be your medium-sized meal, right? And your dinner should be your smallest meal, like this, okay? Don't snack. That way, you can, like I said, make sure you're have that caloric deficit, okay? I advise, before you have breakfast, exercise. Wake up in the morning and go for a run, okay? And for Jiu Jitsu, I found the best exercise to prepare yourself for a Jiu Jitsu match was to hill sprint. Run up a hill, maybe 30 seconds or a minute or whatever to get up this hill, do some burpees or push-ups at the top, walk down, run up the hill, burpees, push-ups, walk down, right? If you do that in the morning, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour before you have breakfast, that is going to prepare you really well for a Jiu Jitsu match. Because a Jiu Jitsu match, there's moments where it's very game on, as I say. It's very, it's go time. And there's other moments where you're relaxed, right? So if you go for a 4-hour run, or swimming or something, you're not preparing yourself physically for what you're about to encounter. Anyway, so exercise in the morning, then have breakfast. What should you have for breakfast? I try to have mostly carbohydrates in the morning and some protein because you just worked out, right? I would have a grapefruit. I found grapefruit to be a natural dietary suppressant. If I had a grapefruit in the morning, I usually wasn't hungry again until lunch. And I would sometimes have some eggs because I was just doing hill sprints. I need some protein to help my body recover from that, Also, sometimes instead of grapefruit, I would sometimes have pineapple because pineapple helps you with the whole, getting things out of your body stuff. Yeah, for lunch, I would usually have a chicken salad. And I don't mean like a chicken salad sandwich that's mostly mayonnaise. I mean like a salad with chicken on it. So you're getting, again, some carbohydrates, which your body turns into fuel, and some protein to help you recover from the exercise you've done, And then for dinner, I'd be trying to go mostly protein because now it's the end of the day and you're trying to, recover from the exercise you've done that day. So, so that's what I would do. And I would try and make sure that my dinner was at least 4 hours before I went to bed. I would try to go to bed on an empty stomach. That way, through the night, I'm burning fat. I'm not burning, the chicken carbonara that my stomach's full of, if I eat, or if I'm eating, pepperoni pizza, then your body's burning that through the night. You don't want to do that. So, so exercise in the morning, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then your dinner should be 4 hours before you go to bed. And no snacks. If you do need to snack, eat celery, because celery is so fibrous that it actually takes more calories, it takes more energy to burn the celery than the celery itself contains. So celery is a good snack. What else should I share with you? The food groups, we already talked about it a little bit. For protein, you want to have maybe eggs or meat. For carbohydrates, you want to have fruit, vegetables, rice, fat. Avocado is a good source of that, even though, whatever. Just put it in your smoothie in the morning if you're making yourself a smoothie, a blueberry smoothie or whatever. So, and then, try to avoid eating dairy. When I was losing weight for tournaments, I wouldn't drink milk, I wouldn't eat cheese. Also, any refined carbohydrates, try to avoid that. No bread, no pasta. I forgot to add, quinoa is also a really good idea, because it's, for some reason, it's like this grain that actually has protein in it. I'm no scientist, so I can't explain it, but quinoa is a good idea. Okay, so we've talked about what you should and shouldn't eat. let's talk about what you should and shouldn't drink. You should only drink water, okay? There's no calories in water, but there is calories in everything else, right? So don't drink, coffee, Gatorade, milk, juice, all that stuff, That stuff didn't even exist thousands of years ago. You just walk around and you pick fruit off trees and put a spear into an animal and drink water out of a river. That's it, For what the hell do I know? I didn't exist thousands of years ago, but when I was losing weight or cutting weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament, I would only drink water, and I encourage you to do the same. So, winning a jiu-jitsu tournament consists of several steps, okay? You have to be at the right place at the right time. You have to be at the venue on the right day before your match is, scheduled to begin, right? You have to maybe bring things. You have to have your passport or your membership card for the IBJJF. You have to have your kimono. Your kimono has to pass the measurement test, okay? And then you have to step on the scale, right? And make weight. If you do those things, then you get to fight, okay? And then, wrestle or, beat everybody up. You see what I mean? But I have seen, I don't want to say many, but I've seen some people screw up the easier, earlier steps, and they don't even get to go on the mat. They don't even get to compete because they screwed up about the time, the location, what they have to bring, or the weight they have to be, right? And I don't want to say it's easy, but for me, it was never a problem, I wasn't so good at it, like I said. I was a white and a blue belt. I wasn't so good at it because I was trying to cut water weight or whatever, or I wasn't sure what I was doing, but that's what white and blue is about. You're figuring it out, But then I became a purple belt, a brown belt, a black belt, and I got better and better at it. And by the time I was a black belt, I was stepping on the mat and I was on weight, I was energized, I was ready to go. Did I win a gold medal every time? No. I won a medal most of the time, but I always made weight. And I've shared with you how I did that. So good luck to you. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments below or send me an email or whatever. And who knows, maybe I'll be your referee at the next tournament. See you there.